Welcome to the Stoked Bloke Show, peoples, coming to you from the Pipeline Studios, joined by Peter PK King, and we're both here courtesy of a New Earth project. Love what those guys are doing, PK, and we love what you've been doing because you've been having a good time of life, mate.
Been surfing.
Tell it to me.
Surfing's fun. I fell in love with surfing again because I got a board gifted to me from Koa Smith's sponsor, Album Surfboards, Matt Parker. They showed up this winter with a board of 6'9", had about 50 liters, and I thought, is this like kind of an old man joke? Like, this looks like a sup. And they said, this is the Brandon Margison Margot model. And I was like, what are they talking about? This board is huge.
Yeah.
The thing goes incredible, paddles fast, easy to jump up, and it's very loose, and I love it. And I just started jumping in the water on it, and then I was like, wait a second. Is this board incredible? And you need to try it because it is. But I know you don't need a big foam solution, but foam is your friend.
Yes.
I believe.
I'm a 30-liter guy.
Okay, this thing's like 20 more or double. But it moves like 30 liters. I'm telling you.
We saw it on the Instagram, mate.
The
Surf
Vesper
Ranch
model. It's a cruiser, but it's fun.
I loved how you said, here's what everybody doesn't want to see. Your footage at the surf ranch.
Yeah, here's what no one wants to see. But let me tell you a secret about that.
Yes, please.
My buddy joined the Austin Surf Club, which is Kelly Slater's new Discovery Land property in Austin, Texas.
Righto.
WSL, those people that own the surf ranch, bought that property that was Doug Coors' wave pool in Austin. Right. And they're repurposing it into a development, which is Discovery Lands, which make the fanciest golf courses in the world. So it's going to be an elite situation, but I'll be bringing you along.
Oh, that's nice to know.
I'm not even a member, but I'll sneak you in.
Yeah.
So my buddy,
I don't wear collars,
bought property there. Yeah. And because of that, they gave some razzle-dazzle days to the surf ranch, to the people who bought in.
Right.
And because of that, Johnny was there, who you know, Johnny Desiree, who films Kai Lenny, and his crew was there filming. And normally when I go to Kelly Slater's surf ranch, I'm filming.
Yes.
But I was an invited guest to surf, and so high five Johnny. His camera broke, I gave him mine. But we had professional footage, like close-up cameras, drone. So my surf ranch footage isn't the same as someone who
just
normally goes and has that locked off shot in the back. And if it was that, I wouldn't have put anything up. And I wanted to brag that I was surfing, and I felt like I was surfing pretty good, but I tried to pretend that I didn't want to brag. So I wrote that little tagline, and then of course I had the incredible footage. Yeah. And it's an easy wave.
And it must be said that yellow board sparkled under your feet.
Well, I've been a filmer my whole life, and Jeff Hurley was the first guy who said the line, "I brought my own sunlight." We were going on a surf trip to the Mentawais, which is always kind of silvery gray, blue. And he goes, "Hey, don't worry, I brought my own sunlight." And he brought a yellow board, and I thought, yellow board is the trick. Now, I didn't choose that yellow. The yellow chose me, Barton.
Yes.
Which you might feel like that in your life.
I've been riding yellow boards since I was a teenager.
Did you choose the yellow, or did the yellow choose you?
Well, there's been some. the most sort of contemporary yellow is more a mango, and none of it chose me.
Album Vesper model. If you want to enjoy surfing again in your life, get it. Thanks for noticing.
Yes, I enjoyed it, mate. And before that, we noticed that you were at the US Boardriders National Championships at Lower Trestles, sponsored by a New Earth project.
Yeah, incredible. 3 days of competition. I think there was 17 teams represented overall, which, 17 teams of 28 people. I mean, you're talking like almost multiple hundreds, almost 1,000 people get to be involved in Boardriders. It's not like an exclusive pro event.
Exactly.
But you have CJ Hobgood, Rob Machado, Tom Curran surfs those things. You have elite surfers, Shane Beshan, and he can't decide, is he San Clemente or North Shore?
Yeah, big
He might switch to North Shore. That's a little controversy. You get to switch once. But anyway, the Boardriders, of course, comes from Australia.
Yeah, it's something that we grew up doing, and the Boardriders clubs and national competitions based in and around your community and your club has been something we've had for years and years and years, and it took you guys a long time to catch on. It's definitely a community project, and there at every club, everywhere around the United States, around Australia, there's a person.
There's a person.
A couple of people or a person who is the heartbeat of those clubs and makes it happen. And every weekend, once a month, they come together as a community, surf their contests, hang out together, and it's become such a powerful community asset in Australia. And to see it finally having an influence here, and the clubs coming together across the United States is incredible. San Clemente, congratulations to them.
They dominate.
Again, they won it last year, win again this year. But second place was the
North Shore
Boardriders.
Brand new club.
Love Hodel pulled together a great team of young surfers. And that's the other thing that's unreal
It's
about
not just young surfers.
That's what I was about to say, isn't it? Is that it's all the ages. And you have your masters and your seniors, your juniors and your boys and your girls, and you've got this whole team element across the decades of surfing, and it really, that's what helps grow the community, is the fact that it's not just a junior thing or an old guy thing. It's everyone in there together as a club and as a community. And congratulations, San Clemente, and congratulations to the North Shore for their first time and finishing runner-up. What did I do? I went to El Salvador.
Oh, you went to the ISAs.
Yeah, got to go to the ISA World Juniors.
That was incredible.
And commentate that. And I love commentating.
How many days was that event?
Heats. That event was 9 days straight.
Wow.
6:30 in the morning at the event site through to 5 in the afternoon, 11-hour days every day. Double banks running, 440
Are you commenting
kids.
on both banks?
No, we commentate on one bank.
Right.
There's El Sunzal, which is a right point, and then there's La Bocana, which is rights and lefts, and that's where we commentate from because there's more variety of wave, and it's a better spectacle in terms of a broadcast. But yeah, an amazing time. Where can you go in the world and have 9 days of competition?
I heard there was waves every day.
It never got head high. It was never head high.
I mean, it was always stayed bigger than that.
Always head and a half or bigger, the whole
Wow.
9 days. It is incredibly consistent. They call it Surf City down there, and it's an amazing place to go.
So there's a battle for surf cities.
There is, what?
Huntington? Yeah.
Does Santa Cruz?
Santa Cruz fancies himself a bit like that, yeah.
And now San Salvador, in El Salvador.
Nothing in Australia calls himself Surf City?
Well, Torquay used to kind of be like a surf city because you had Quicksilver, Billabong, Piping Hot, all of the companies down in that area.
Piping Hot.
Yeah, Piping Hot. Remember them?
Wow.
They're most probably still going in a department store somewhere in Australia.
Piping Hot.
You know, and there was a big three, but there really was a big four because Piping Hot at that time was in the department stores and discount department stores, while Quicksilver, Rip Curl, and Billabong were in the boutique type surf stores. And they were making more money than the big three.
Piping Hot was.
Yeah,
selling to
out
the
of the
public.
Australian market.
Right.
So there was always a big four, but it was Piping Hot's one of those brands that was behind the big three.
In terms of cool, but they...
Exactly, but
in
they were
terms of
making
revenue,
some dough.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was sponsored by them. They were my last active sponsor as a professional surfer.
Do you have any suits
It
left?
did feel like you were stepping down to the minor leagues, you know, in terms of sponsors when it came about. And at the end of it, I think I was getting maybe 60 grand at the, you know, and I was like on a good, which was a good wicket.
Take that now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and then it went down. They go, we can give you 30. I went, you know what?
Did you say that was a good wicket?
Good wicket.
That was an Australian term.
Yeah, wicket as in cricket. But the ISAs, it was an amazing World Juniors, and congratulations to our winners. And like I said, we'll run through those. And then there's been so much going on in the world of surfing. We just got finished.
There was a contest in Tahiti, wasn't there?
There was a contest in Tahiti, Taupo, and it was the Olympic curtain raiser, so to speak.
Yeah.
At the end of July, beginning of August, we will be in Tahiti for the Olympic Games, and this was almost like a preview of what to expect.
And you'll be announcing that, right?
Yeah, I'll be announcing and doing the commentary.
Be doing it from
Paris.
Wow.
So, and you imagine the 12-hour time difference. I'm going to be a vampire in Paris. I'm going to be sleeping during the day, getting up in the evening, going to work all night, calling heats through the dark,
cheese and cafe
and baguettes.
Wow.
So it's going to be a very strange experience. One, to not be there, but when we commentated Tokyo, we were actually... the Tokyo
not
Olympics.
At the beach anymore.
Yeah, I only saw the beach for an hour before the event started, and then we commentated it from the broadcast centre in Tokyo. So it won't be that different from that experience. And even when they're calling Chopu, they're calling it from a screen.
Right.
So that's the discipline. So that's not that different. But being up all night, and while the rest of the world goes to sleep because there's been events all day that you've slept through, we'll be waking up and going to work during the night and calling surfing during the night and trying to... be as engaged as we possibly can. Congratulations from that event to the WSL first and foremost. It was the best event that I have seen them run in a long time.
In a couple years.
And whether
I guess waves matter, huh, Barton?
Well, waves matter, and whether that was indicative of an administrative change and a change at the top, I thought it was the best broadcast I've watched in quite some time. And I sit there and I'm quite critical watching a broadcast because I'd rather be doing it myself than listening to them do it, is the honest way I feel. And I see things happening that don't get commentated on because we're just not commentating from the same perspective. But I thought the commentary was amazing. There was some new graphics, some new stats. There was this whole new, it had a new feel to things that I really liked. And I sat there at home and went, this is the best event that WSL have ran in a few years, had the best vibe and had the best waves they've had in a while, so that obviously matters. The surfing was incredible, and all the little bits in and around the event seemed like they pieced that puzzle together really beautifully, and it was a landmark moment for surfing. It was a landmark moment particularly for women's surfing. We saw Vahini Fierro win the event, and that was for the hometown. The local supporters and the hometown hero to take the event was massive, and super, super proud and stoked for her. Congratulations. The semi-final between Brisa Hennessy, number 2, and now in the yellow jersey. So number 1 in the world. Congratulations to Brisa. Great event for her. Second final that she's made there. So, the second place where you go, well, that was interesting to see her get there. Was that a fluke or not? Well, it was obviously not a fluke, because Brisa Hennessy got to that final again and proves herself at that venue to be one of the very best surfers in the world. But the semi-final between Vahini and Tatiana was perhaps the greatest women's heat of all time. We're at a point where time's ticking down. We're in the last 10 minutes. Vahini's in the lead. She's dominated it. She looks like she's got it in the bag. And of all things, Tatiana needs a perfect 10 to go into the lead, and gets a wave that, in my mind, was no doubt a perfect 10. And we jumped up in the living room. People are going, oh my God, I think she got it. The score comes through. She gets a perfect 10. Vahini needs an 8:01. Time's ticking down, and the unbelievable's looking like happening. Vahini's had 2 semi-finals there before and hadn't made a final in 2 other wildcard appearances. So it looked like it was going to happen again, but right towards the end, the mana shone. She got a beautiful wave, got a 9.63. It was most probably overscored, but for that moment in time, it was definitely the score she needed and got her through to the final. But massive congratulations to Tatiana and Vahini for putting on that semi-final show. That was an incredible, incredible heat. And then Vahini went on and won, so congrats to her. And to all the women, possibly, the greatest women's event of all time just took place, and we got to witness it.
Yeah, it reminded me of the vibe when Moana won at Pipe.
100%.
So Moana is like the queen of pipeline. Vahine is the queen of chopu. They're both incredibly, ridiculously dangerous, big, crazy waves, not known for women dominating those zones. And kind of had a connection there between the two. That was really cool. There was also an exciting men's semi.
There was a couple of exciting men's heats, but the Gabrielle Medina, John Florence rivalry, that is right up there with the Kelly Slater, Andy Irons rivalry without the fireworks, perhaps, but in terms of performance, those two meeting in the semis, that was the final. I think in all of our eyes and everything that we'd seen through the event.
Like in 2014, John and Kelly, that felt like the final.
Yeah, exactly.
It had the waves, the action, the effort.
Yeah, and that's what that felt like. But to see Italo Ferreira and John Florence make the final after neither of them having won an event since 2020. So it's been do you think about that? That's a long time, a 3-year stint for surfers of those two levels to have not won an event is a long drought for both of them. So either way the final went, it was going to be a great story. Just to harp back to third place there, Gabrielle Medina, the word on the street to me from people who were there was that when he paddled out on that final day and started packing the biggest bomb sets that he could find, that people saw the level rise. And at the point when Gabrielle went out and started doing what he was doing, the field that were left in the event all recognised the need to up the ante on that final day. John was able to do it, and his performance and Gabby's was Unbelievable, the whole event. They proved why that rivalry is what it is and why they are both at the top of the sport and why so respected. 2 world titles for John, 3 for Gabby. I feel like 4 world titles for both of those guys, matching the great Mark Richards and putting themselves in that position would be such a fitting place for them both to sit at the end of their careers. So I'm hoping that they get more chances. You said to me before we came on air that there might have been
I feel like John John's not going to continue on the tour, but that's not confirmed.
That's what we heard.
I think he's jealous of Ivan and Nathan getting such good waves.
Yeah, how is that?
Can't let those guys get all the barrels.
He's there at Chopu, amazing conditions. Must be said, though, it was super inconsistent, and it was the sort of conditions where both surfers didn't always get the chances they needed. Right. It wasn't the most fair conditions. It was the type of conditions where the person who played the chess the best and got 2 good ones was going to win, because a lot of heat surfers only got 1 good one and didn't win because they fell short on the backup. So tough competitive conditions. The fact that Gabby, Italo, John performed like they did proved the point to all of us. And then big shout out to Ramsey Bukaim, 3rd place as well. 3 goofies in the final 4.
Kelly in the last second.
Yeah,
Kelly was on fire.
Kelly Slater, congrats to him. I thought the fairy tale was playing out.
It's
Did
so
you
great
think so?
to see a surfer who is no longer on tour be in an event.
Well, especially he just retired.
But did he?
And then he's in the next event, more or less. And there's more. There was the outer known ads, the Firewire ads, the Kelly giveaways with the surfboards.
I entered that, by the way.
Oh, I want to enter that
too.
A
chance to win.
A day at the surf ranch and a quiver of boards and your clothes as well.
I've never entered anything like that.
You did?
I did.
After your last trip there. I want to get back there. So there was more Kelly Slater in this event than any event prior to his retirement.
It was his brand was sponsoring it.
Yeah, so he was everywhere. Yeah. But again, and again, he lived up to the performance levels expected of a world champion, 11-time world champion, but not expected of a 52-year-old. Right. That kid is on another level. Like what he did there, flying in the night before, having not ridden a wave straight in, nearly gets a 10. That performance from Kelly again, and the whole field, both male and female, and to everyone at WSL, we are quite critical at times. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we don't like, but I felt like this event had a cohesive feeling to it and a unity through the sporting world of surfing that hasn't been with WSL for a while. And whether that's administrative changes or just good waves or the Olympics coming up and all the excitement around this particular event, somehow, somewhere, things clicked, and this was one of the best events that I've got to watch in the last few years, and I was pretty happy for everybody, the surfers, WSL, us, sport fans, everyone, to see a great surfing event like that.
Wow. Italo Ferreira, the Olympic surfing champion, winning the Olympic pre-event, right?
I didn't think of it that way.
So that's pretty radical. I mean,
he's the Olympic champion.
That's some foreboding.
That's interesting.
And Vahine, if it's big, she's going to be the favorite now. And
except Italo's not there.
Wait, what?
Italo's not at the Olympics, is he? Jean Chienka, Gabriel Medina.
I totally thought he was in.
And Felipe Toledo are representing Brazil. And so
Felipe's got to give him his spot.
Well, he's not even on tour.
Oh, my God.
He better get to Chopu, though, because we saw what the world is doing at that venue, and the surfing
level
is incredible.
Who needs to get to Chopu?
Felipe Toledo.
Get there and practice.
And he should live there between now and then. And just be there all day. And I mean, if you were an Olympic surfer, say you're Carissa Moore, who's not on the tour anymore as well.
She had a bummer of a heat. Carissa had no waves in her heat.
And she was going to fire. You could see the performance.
That was such a bummer. Just like Pipeline, her last event, they put her out in 1 foot waves. She had that bad morning.
I know. And that was one of the things we saw all the ladies appreciative of, was them holding the women off till that second to last day of the period and giving them real waves so that they got the chance to surf in such perfect waves. John Florence, we're talking about and the potential of him finishing at the end of this year and not continuing on touring, because when he looks around, he sees what his brother is doing out there in the world. Because I watched the event every heat of the event. As an Olympic commentator, I thought I've got to tune in and understand what goes on, and it was like you were working. And then I turned on Instagram after watching John just get tubed out of his brain, and there was Nathan Florence on the feed, maybe getting more tubed at No Can Do's in the mentor-wise. And I was like, wow, that's what you're suggesting, is that John, having watched his brother and what his brother's been doing, the ways he gets to surf, there's a chance he may turn his back on competition at the end of this year. Look at travelling with his brother and doing more strike missions to perfect waves. I would love to see him in some of those crazy bigger days around the world that Nathan's been dominating at.
Whether it's true or not, it's a good rumour.
Great rumour. We might as well start.
That's what we're here for.
The rumour mill. So, John's a dad.
John's a dad as of 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I wanted to throw that out there and say congrats to he and Lauren. Little boy?
Little boy, yeah. I guess Slater found out and decided to have a little boy too to compete with John's kids. So Slater and Kalani are due in July. And so there's going to be a young John Florence, a young Jack Robinson, a young Kelly Slater. Oh, yeah. It's on.
Oh, watch out, mate. The future is on. Blast off. They're all going to be in it. It's going to be epic.
Oh, yeah, blast off.
Yeah, classic. So congratulations to John and Lauren on the birth of their child. The thing that I wanted to say is that the problem with this system of WSL is that what happened, besides qualifying you for the final five, doesn't matter. What we just watched actually doesn't contribute to your world title campaign. Mm-mm. And it contributes and gets you into the final five. And we saw Italo jump to 5th place. Gabrielle's still back in 12th. John's taken the yellow jersey. So Brisa in the ladies with the yellow jersey up to number 1. John in the men's up to number 1 to celebrate his newborn baby and a great event. So he's got a lot of great stuff going on. But the fact that event in itself doesn't contribute really to the world title is a travesty. I can't get that into my head. Everything that happens during a year should contribute to who wins the world title.
I mean,
the single day thing.
Second is almost as good as first.
It's a points thing. Yeah. And as long as you've got other points, it actually doesn't matter. Right. And you could have a throwaway at that most radical event of all, Chopu.
And it wouldn't matter.
And it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter that that's your throwaway. So that sort of highlights the flaw in the system. But again, great event. Congratulations to everyone. You know what I did see? One more thing was Italo come out of one that he doesn't really get barreled on and takes a high line into the end and throws himself into the air with so much speed, risky, so much propulsion, and he ends up. The potential for Chopu, here's the prediction for the future of surfing. We didn't see jet skis and tow-in coming. There's all these things that have happened over the years you don't see coming. Chopu is a tube, and that's all they do there. Sometimes you'll see someone do a turn. And I get excited by that turn.
Did a grab rail turn that was pretty sick.
Beautiful. And I get excited by those turns. I want to see turns on that last section.
You think that's going to be the new launch pad?
I'm calling that Chopu coming out of that tube, and it's not enough and you need something more. That ramp will potentially show us the biggest, craziest airs in the future. Give it 10 years' time.
And what, you just have to land clean like in a diving competition because you can't ride away on it?
Well, who knows?
Just clean stick the landing.
Well, it depends how early that thing comes in.
As long as they say, okay, there's a half point for your flare kick out.
Yes. Well, I've been watching gymnastics at the moment.
We'll incorporate that in our tour.
You know, in gymnastics, there's a score for performance that starts at 0 and goes up to 10. And then there's a score for technique and style and precision or whatever that starts at 10 and goes down to 0.
And then the risk of the things you do has a value.
And so they've got these two scales working at once, and one working its way down as you make mistakes and one working its way up as you
so one starts at 10 and goes down.
And the other one starts at 0 and goes up. And they use that combination of evaluation to come up with the score in gymnastics. So somewhere along the line, there's going to need to be some innovation to the surfing, and I think the judging, there's a lot of areas we can work in there to make it more interesting. El Salvador continuing their love affair with surfing and the opportunity to rebuild their nation. Is hosting in October a Masters event. down there. So the old fellas are going to get a chance to compete in the Masters in El Salvador this coming October, so that'll be fun.
Start working out.
In training already.
Do you coach yourself?
Yeah, you're coaching yourself. I'm coaching myself every day.
Who will be
trying to be a better person?
Richard Cram, Kong.
No, well, I think there's an over 40s, an over 50s, and an over 60s.
Oh, fun.
I've sent to ISA and to Sir City El Salvador some ideas I had for how to run a Masters event, given some of the lessons of past ones, and so we'll see which way it works out, and whether it's an event where people represent their nations as they do at the World Surfing Games and the World Juniors. So say you're Australia, there's only room for 1 or 2 people in that team.
Right.
So you go Tom Carroll, Lockalupo, Damien Harbin, all of them people might just only have 2 spots.
Right.
Whereas a French or
the
whatever
old events,
teams,
they would just invite famous pro surfers that
and you had to
more of a famous heat.
Yeah, and you had to qualify for the Masters through your achievements in your generation.
Right.
And I think that's the fair. We'll see how this event's going to run over there. But pretty excited to see the old boys get a chance, and I know people are going to be excited to watch us surf again.
Very cool.
That's us for today, peoples. Big thanks to the ISA and their World Juniors. Big thanks to WSL and the Chopu event. And the Olympics is right around the corner. We're excited for that. Big thank you to A New Earth Project, to you, Peter King. And we'll see you all next show, next podcast, anytime soon.